The junkyard was quiet that morning, only the wind moving the piles of broken metal and forgotten machines. Josh, a human mechanic, unlocked the gate like he did every day. He walked with heavy boots across the dirt, planning to find parts for his next job. He didn't expect anything strange until something moved in the scrap. It wasn't loud, just a soft rustle like metal shifting. Josh paused. He looked toward the sound. Between two rusted ship wings, a small figure hid under a dirty tarp. At first, he thought it was a broken android. But when he stepped closer, he saw glowing eyes round, wide and terrified. Josh stopped. It was a girl. An alien girl. Young, maybe a teenager. Her skin was a soft blue, covered in grease and rust. Her arms were thin, her legs shook. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. She didn't speak. She just stared at him like a stray animal, not sure if it would be helped or hurt. "Hey," Josh said gently, lowering his voice. "You okay?" The girl didn't answer. Her breathing was fast. Her lips were cracked. Her hair, silver and tangled, stuck to her cheeks. She looked like she belonged to the trash, but her eyes, they had life. Josh knelt slowly and pulled a protein bar from his pocket. "Here, take this." She didn't move. He set the bar down and took a few steps back. That's when she crawled forward on shaky arms, grabbed the food and ate like she hadn't tasted anything in weeks. Josh watched her quietly. The way she held the bar with both hands, how her fingers trembled. This wasn't just a lost girl. This was someone abandoned, someone forgotten. After a moment, she looked up again, still silent, still unsure. "My name's Josh," he said. "I'm not going to hurt you." She blinked slowly but said nothing. Josh sighed and looked around. He knew what the rules were. Any unregistered alien found without papers had to be reported to the patrols. But this girl, she wasn't dangerous. She was broken, lost, and something in Josh's chest didn't let him walk away. "Come on," he said, offering his hand. "Let's get you cleaned up." She didn't take the hand, but she followed. Back at his workshop, Josh gave her a blanket and a spot near the heater. The room was small but warm. Tools lined the walls, old engine parts sat on shelves, and a soft hum came from the machines running nearby. The girl sat, quietly curled in the blanket. Her hands never left the protein wrapper like she thought it might disappear. Josh gave her water, a few more food packs, and watched from across the room. She still hadn't spoken. "Do you have a name?" he asked. She shook her head slowly. "You don't remember? Or you just don't want to say?" No answer. Josh leaned back in his chair. "Okay, then I'll call you, Nara, just until you tell me otherwise." Her eyes flicked toward him at that, a tiny reaction, but a reaction. "Nara," he repeated with a smile. She looked away, pulling the blanket tighter around herself. Josh didn't push her. He worked on an engine for the rest of the day, letting her rest. But every time he glanced over, he saw her watching him. Not scared anymore, just curious, like she was trying to understand him. That night, Josh made a small bed for her in the corner. She didn't argue. She simply lay down, her silver hair glowing faintly in the dim light. As he turned off the main lamp, he heard her whisper, just one word, Thank you." Josh froze. He looked back. She was already closing her eyes, but that soft voice, quiet, broken, full of something he couldn't name, echoed in his mind. She hadn't spoken all day, but she chose to speak that. He didn't know where she came from. He didn't know why. She was left in the dump, alone, dirty, starving. He didn't even know what kind of alien she was, but he knew this. No one had helped her, and now she was his responsibility. Josh sat in his chair, watching her sleep. She looked so small, so out of place in this world full of machines and metal. And yet, something told him this was just the beginning. Whatever she had run from might come looking, and whatever was broken inside her, it wasn't just her body, it was her heart too. But maybe, just maybe, he could help fix that too. The moment Josh set the plate down, she didn't wait. She lunged at it like a wild thing, both hands grabbing, mouth moving fast, barely chewing. He didn't interrupt. He just stood there, silent, letting her eat in peace. But while her mouth stayed busy, her glowing eyes never once left his face, like she was watching for a trap. Or maybe for something worse. Josh moved slowly, careful not to startle her. He leaned on the counter and opened a small packet of dried fruit for himself. Still, those eyes tracked him, quiet, alert, and full of questions she didn't know how to ask. "How long were you out there?" he asked softly, not expecting an answer. She didn't speak. She just kept eating. The light from the heater cast soft warmth across her face now. Her silver hair, tangled and dirty, still had a faint shimmer under the grease. Her hands were cut, her knees bruised. She looked like she'd escaped something, not just the scrap dump, but something far darker. Josh noticed her fingers had stopped shaking. That was a good sign. But her eyes, they hadn't stopped watching. "I'm not your enemy," he said. The girl licked the last crumbs from her hand and held the empty plate with both hands, like she didn't want to give it up. Then slowly, with hesitant arms, she set it back down. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. "Did you say something?" Josh asked. She tried again. "Where is this?" she whispered, voice dry and broken. Josh smiled, gentle. "This is my home. My workshop. You're safe here." The girl looked around. Machines, tools, a half-finished engine. The floor was messy, but cleaner than the dump she came from. Warmer, too. Her body relaxed, just a little. Josh pulled a stool closer and sat near her. "You remember your name?" She hesitated, then gave the smallest nod. "Nara," she said so quietly he almost missed it. Josh's eyes lit up. "That's what I called you yesterday." She blinked, surprised. "You gave me ... my name?" He nodded. "Only until you told me your real one." She was silent again, lips pressed tight. Then, after a pause, "I forgot it." Josh didn't press further. He could see the pain that followed her words. Like the name had been taken, ripped away with her past. He stood and grabbed a small cloth and water, handed it to her, pointing gently to her arms and face. "Want to clean up?" Stared at the cloth like it was a foreign object, then took it slowly. She wiped her face first, revealing soft, bluish skin beneath the grime. Josh turned away to give her privacy. She cleaned in silence. But she peeked at him again and again. She had never met someone like this before. Someone who offered help without asking for anything. Someone who didn't touch or hurt or cage her. In her world, humans were dangerous, selfish. But this one, he confused her. Why did he feed her? Why didn't he sell her? Why did he smile when she spoke? Nara watched the back of his head as he worked on a machine, hands strong but gentle, movements calm. He hummed a little tune while fixing a circuit board. She had never heard. Humming before it made her chest feel tight. She had heard shouting, screaming, orders, but not humming. And for some reason, she didn't want it to stop. That night, Josh gave her a small set of clothes, baggy but clean. She changed in the corner, her back turned. Her old rags lay in a pile, wet with oil and sadness. She stepped into the light, unsure. Josh looked up and paused. "Looks better on you than it ever did on me," he said, trying to lighten the mood. Nara didn't smile, but her cheeks changed color just a little. Blush. Maybe, or maybe just warmth she wasn't used to. He offered her a bedroll. "You don't have to be afraid here." She took it and lay down near the wall again. Just before he turned off the lights, she asked, "Why do you help me?" Josh paused in the doorway. His answer was simple, "'Cause someone should have." Then he left her alone with the hum of machines and the quiet beat of her heart. She stared at the ceiling for a long time that night, not from fear, but because for the first time, she didn't feel like trash. She felt seen, and that scared her more than anything. The alarm buzzed louder than usual that morning. Josh groaned, pulled off his blanket, and went straight to the door. He was expecting a delivery, but the moment he opened it, he froze. 2 galactic patrol officers stood on the landing. Armor was shiny black, glowing at the edges. One held a scanner. The The other was already peeking past him into the workshop. Morning one said coldly, "We're searching for illegal life forms. It's unregistered. Escaped from the outer camps." Blood turned cold. Behind him, Nara had just woken up. Her feet were bare. She peeked around the corner just enough to see the strangers in the doorway. Josh slammed the door halfway shut. Blocking their view, "I live alone," he said, keeping his voice calm. "No one else here." Taller. Officer lifted the scanner. "It says otherwise." Josh stepped fully into the doorway now, blocking them. Malfunction? Maybe. You know how junkyards mess with signal? The other officer grunted. "Mind if we take a look?" Josh didn't move. "Actually, I do." A long silence followed. Then the patrolman narrowed his eyes. "You're hiding something." Josh didn't blink, just protecting what's mine, inside. Nara held her breath. She crouched behind a pile of engine parts, trembling, eyes wide. Her body remembered cages and collars. Remembered being hunted like trash. She thought she was about to be taken again. But this time, something different happened. Josh stepped out fully, placing himself between the officers and the door. "If you want to look around, bring a warrant," he said. "Otherwise, you're trespassing." The officer's hand hovered over his blaster. Josh didn't flinch. Nara had never seen anyone do that before. No one had ever stood in front of her, not as a shield. Not like this. One of the patrolmen scanned him from head to toe, then turned to his partner. Waste of time. They walked away. Josh didn't move until the patrol was out of sight. Then did he let out a breath and shut the door. He turned slowly. Nara stood there, not hiding, not scared, just staring. Her arms were wrapped around herself. But her expression wasn't fear anymore. It was something else, something deeper. "You could have gotten arrested," she whispered. "Maybe," Josh said, wiping sweat from his brow. "But I didn't. You lied for me." He looked at her. "I protected you," he said. She stared harder. "Why?" Josh shrugged lightly. "Because I don't see trash when I look at you." Nara's lips trembled. "That's what they always called me. Then they're blind." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Nara walked closer. Slowly, step by step, she reached out like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to. "Josh," he didn't move away. Her fingers touched his sleeve. "You're different." He gave a soft smile. "So are you." That evening, something changed. Josh worked on a broken hover engine, but Nara didn't stay hidden anymore. She stood beside him, watching every movement, asking quiet questions. He handed her a wrench, expecting her to hold it awkwardly. She didn't. She twisted it with perfect pressure. "You've done this before?" he asked. She paused. "I think so," bit by bit. Memories started returning to her, flashes of her fixing something, helping someone, being told she was useful, till she wasn't anymore. But now Josh was showing her again that she was useful. Wanted, real. That night when he went to turn off the lights, Nara's voice stopped him again. "Thank you." "For standing in front of me?" Josh looked over his shoulder. "I'd do it again," he said. Nara smiled. Not a big one, just a quiet, soft smile. But it was the first real one since she'd arrived, and somewhere inside her, something that had been locked away started to open. She wasn't just safe anymore. She was beginning to feel something even more dangerous. Hope. The old generator had been dead for weeks. Josh was sure it was useless. He'd tried everything, new parts, power reroutes, even kicking it a few times, but nothing worked. Now it sat in the corner, forgotten like most things in his scrapyard. Life, until Nara touched it. He found her sitting beside it one morning, wires spread across her lap, eyes focused. She didn't ask. She didn't wait for permission. Her fingers moved with calm confidence, twisting wires, resetting circuits, drawing strange symbols on a panel with a piece of chalk she found. Josh watched from behind, silent. The way she moved it wasn't guessing. It was remembering. She whispered softly to herself, strange alien words, almost like she was speaking to the machine, not fixing it. Then, without warning, the generator hummed to life. The lights flickered on. Tools buzzed. The entire wall came alive. Josh blinked in shock. How did you do that? Nara looked back, unsure. I just knew, she said, like it confused her too. Josh stepped closer, staring at the active panel. You're incredible, he said, genuinely amazed. You're not just smart, you're brilliant, said it with a proud smile. And that's when everything inside her broke. Nara's eyes widened, her body stiffened. Then she ran. She didn't say a word, just ran straight. To the back room, Josh stood frozen. What had he said wrong? He followed carefully, stopping outside the door. Nara? No answer. He knocked once. Still nothing. He pushed the door gently. She was sitting on the floor, curled into herself, back shaking. Tears dripped down her cheeks, but she was biting her lips. Trying to stay quiet, as if crying was a crime, Josh knelt slowly. Did I say something wrong? She shook her head hard but didn't look at him. Then what happened? I don't know, she whispered. Then talk to me. She turned. Her face, her glowing eyes now filled with pain. No one has ever called me brilliant. Josh's heart tightened.
Ow.
They should have. They used to tell me I was a tool, that I worked, or I was trash. I forgot what praise sounded like. Josh sat beside her, saying nothing for a moment. She continued, voice cracking. When you said it, I felt something. I didn't understand it. I thought something was wrong with me. He spoke gently. There's nothing wrong with feeling something. I'm not supposed to feel anything, she whispered. Her hand clenched her chest. But when you smiled at me, my heart hurt. Josh looked at her. He realized something important. Nara didn't just forget her past. Someone had taken it from her, burned the idea of self-worth out of her bones now. Even kindness felt like a wound. Then let it hurt, he said softly. That means it's healing. Nara looked at him, her face soaked in silent tears. You think I'm healing? Josh nodded. Double quotes every day, closing her eyes against the wall, closing her eyes. For the first time, she didn't try to hide her crying. She let it happen, and Josh stayed beside her the whole time. Later that night, when the lights dimmed and the machines cooled, Nara walked to the doorway of Josh's room. He was half asleep. Lying back with a book on his chest, she didn't step inside. She just stood there. I'm sorry I ran. Josh looked up, surprised but calm. You don't have to say sorry. I didn't know how to handle being seen. You were never invisible. I thought I was. Josh placed the book down. Tomorrow, he said, we'll work on something harder. I could use your help again. Nara nodded slowly. Then her voice dropped to a whisper. Will you still call me brilliant if I mess up? Josh smiled. I'll call you brilliant no matter what. She stood still for a long time, holding on to that sentence like it was the only thing in the world that mattered, because for her it was. She had fixed his machine, but without knowing it. He had just repaired something deeper inside her, and that kind of fix was far more rare. The town's Sky Festival came once a year, fireworks, neon lights, music, and crowds. Josh never cared for it. Too loud. It's too many people. But this time, he asked Nara if she wanted to go. Her answer came slowly. What's a festival? Like, ... a celebration, he said. Food, lights, music. You don't have to go, but I thought you might like it. She nodded quietly. The next day she came out of the back room wearing a simple gray jacket and an old pair of boots he'd fixed for her. Her silver hair had been tied into a loose braid. Her skin, once pale with rust, now held a soft glow. She still looked unsure, holding her hands together tightly. You look great, Josh said casually. But Nara didn't look at herself. She was too busy looking at him. The festival was alive. Floating lights danced in the air. The streets and alien vendors from across the sector sold everything from glowing fruits to gravity-bending toys. Nara walked slowly, close beside Josh, her wide eyes trying to take it all in. Children laughed. Machines whirred. Couples held hands beneath pink lanterns. She'd never seen anything like this. Josh bought her a warm pastry and handed it to her. Try it. She sniffed it, curious. It's sweet, very. Took a bite, her eyes lit up. This is the best thing I've ever eaten, she whispered. Josh laughed. You said that about the noodles last week. This is better. He watched her smile, really smile without fear or confusion. It hit him then. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living, and he had helped bring that to her. They stood near a glowing fountain when the band started playing. Couples gathered, dancing under the swirling lights. Nara looked at them. Josh noticed the way she tilted her head, the way her fingers twitched as if they wanted to move too. You want to try? He asked. Her eyes widened. I don't know how. Neither do one. He held out his hand. She stared at it, heart racing. Then slowly, she took it. They didn't dance well. They mostly swayed. Josh stepped on her foot once. She laughed. But when their eyes met, neither laughed, because something unspoken passed between them, and it stayed there warm, electric, dangerous later. They sat on a bench, sharing a cold drink. Nara leaned her head against his shoulder. This place, it doesn't feel real. Josh looked down at her. It feels real to me. She paused. Do you take every stray to places like this? He chuckled. You're the only one I've ever brought here. She turned her head to look at him. Her eyes glowed softly under the lights. Why me? Josh didn't answer right away. Then he said, because you don't deserve to be hidden anymore. Nara's heart pounded, and no one had ever told her that. No one had ever looked at her in a crowd and made her feel seen. She looked back at the dancing lights, but her hand stayed on his arm now, resting gently, like it belonged there. As the fireworks began to explode overhead, casting bright colors across the sky, Nara whispered something. I never thought I'd have memories like this. Josh looked at her face lit by the orange glow of the sky. I thought I was just meant to be thrown away, she continued. You were never trash, Josh said firmly. She looked at him and her voice dropped to a whisper. Then what am I? He stared into her eyes and suddenly the answer wasn't easy, because what she had become to him was something he didn't have a word for yet. That night, as they walked home under the fading lights, Nara stayed quiet, but her hand found his, and she didn't let go. Not once, not even when they reached the door, because tonight, for the first time, she didn't feel like someone who was rescued. She felt like someone who was chosen, and that changed everything. The morning after the festival, Nara moved differently. She wasn't rushing, she wasn't hiding. She walked through the workshop with soft steps, humming a tune from the night before. She even smiled when Josh handed her tools, smiled like someone who finally felt safe. But that peace didn't last. Around noon, a woman entered the shop. Tall, confident, red jacket, green eyes. Josh knew her. Her name was Lyra, a trader who came by every few weeks for repairs. She laughed easily, talked fast, and always leaned in just a little too close. Still fixing junk, Josh? She teased. Better junk than people, he joked. They laughed. Nara froze behind the counter. She watched the woman's hand brush Josh's arm, watched how he smiled back, watched how they talked like they shared a story she wasn't part of. Then Lyra looked around. You alone today? Josh glanced over his shoulder. Not exactly. Nara lowered her head quickly, pretending to sort wires. Lyra raised an eyebrow but said nothing more. The visit lasted 15 minutes, but for Nara, it felt like hours. When Lyra finally left, Nara didn't speak. She didn't look at Josh. She walked into the back room and closed the door quietly. But with finality, Josh didn't notice at first. Not until he went looking for her after sunset. He found her sitting on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, eyes red. Nara? She didn't answer. He sat down beside her. What's wrong? She wiped her cheek, but more tears came. You were smiling, she whispered. With her, Josh blinked. You mean Lyra? She touched you. He stayed silent. I didn't like it, she said, voice breaking. Josh slowly understood. You were jealous. She turned her face away. I didn't want to be. Josh watched her carefully. Nara. She cut him off, speaking faster now. You found me in the trash. You gave me food, safety, a name. I should be grateful. But when I saw her touching you, I felt something sharp inside me. Something wrong. She pressed her hands to her chest. It hurt. Not in my body, but deeper. Josh looked at her not like a girl who needed rescuing, but like someone standing on the edge of a new truth. You think it's wrong to feel that? She nodded quickly. Yes, I'm not supposed to want more. Josh spoke gently. Not because I'm not human. He leaned forward, voice soft. Doesn't mean you can't feel. Her eyes met his and, this time, they didn't look away. I don't understand what's happening to me, she said. Now, when you're near me, I feel warm. When you're far, I feel cold. When you smile at someone else, I feel like I'm disappearing. Josh stayed quiet, letting her speak. I want to be near you. Even when I know I shouldn't, why shouldn't you? 'Cause I was broken. Because I'm yours to protect, not to love. The last word slipped out by accident, but it was already there, hanging in the air. Josh breathed in slowly. Nara, what you feel, it's not wrong. She stared at him, tears on her cheeks, lips trembling. You're not just someone I rescued, he said. You've become someone I care about. Nara leaned forward, pressing her forehead to his shoulder. Why does it scare me so much? Because it's real, he whispered, and in that moment, nothing else mattered. Not her past, not the rules, not the stars above. Only the truth sitting quietly between them that night. Nara didn't return to her small bed in the corner. She sat beside Josh near the heater, wrapped in a blanket they both shared. She said nothing more, just leaned against him, eyes closed. And for the first time since she had arrived, she didn't feel broken. She felt wanted. And somewhere deep inside her, she dared to hope that maybe, just maybe, he wanted her too. The days that followed were quieter, but not empty. Nara didn't cry anymore. She didn't ask for space. She stayed near Josh, working beside him, laughing sometimes, listening always. She didn't say much about what happened that night. Everything changed in the way she looked at him, the way she smiled only when he smiled, and Josh noticed. He pretended not to at first. He buried himself in repairs. Tools, wires, anything to keep from thinking about the way his heart skipped when her fingers brushed his, but deep down he knew something had shifted between them, and it wasn't going back. One evening, after a long day, Josh was locking up the shop when he noticed the back room door was open and empty. Nara, answer. He checked the yard. Nothing then. He saw it. She was standing outside, at the edge of the scrapyard facing the stars, wearing the same jacket, but with something new around her. Neck a small chain, holding a shiny bolt, one of his tools. Turned into a necklace. Josh stepped up behind her, but didn't say a word. She spoke first. I used to wonder what I was worth. Josh stayed quiet. Back then, I thought I was just spare parts meant to be used, then tossed away. She turned around, facing him fully now. But then you gave me something I didn't expect. He raised an eyebrow. What? Nara's voice was steady now. A future. The wind blew softly through her silver braid. Her glowing eyes didn't look shy tonight. They looked sure. She stepped forward and held out her hand. I know you raised me to feel safe, to heal, to grow stronger. But I'm not a child anymore. Josh, he didn't move. She came closer. I'm standing here because I choose to. She placed her hand gently on his chest, right over his heart. I don't want to go anywhere. Not because I need help, but because I love you. Josh's breath caught. He had been holding this moment back for so long, trying to be careful, trying to be good. But now, as she stood before him, not afraid, not broken, he saw what she truly was. Not just someone he saved, but someone who saved him. Too, he took her hand, held it tightly. You don't have to say it back, she whispered, looking down. But Josh raised her chin with 2 fingers. I do, he said, because I feel it too. Nara's eyes filled with light, but this time no tears came. Only warmth, only love, only the truth. That night, there was no fear between them, no chains of the past, no silence hiding pain. They sat beside each other, fingers locked, hearts full, and in the dim glow of the workshop's last lamp, a new kind of story began, not about a lost alien girl in a scrap dump, but about the human who gave her a home, and the woman she became when he loved her without asking for anything in return.